Shalom Aleichem Rabotai, this is Rabbi Kovacs, and this is the Mishnayot in Mishnah Yomi for the first day of Chag HaSukkot. We are in Challah, in the fourth parak, Mishnayot 9 and 10. I should mention yesterday, from Mishnah 8, we talked about taking two challahs, separating twice in hutz laaretz. We don't do that anymore because no one's eating challah in Eretz Yisrael itself because of the tumah. We are anxiously awaiting a para aduma and tahara and a Beis Hamikdash. We'll be eating challah again in Eretz Yisrael. So we'll be doing two challahs again in hutz laaretz, it appears, or we'll just all go home, or both sides. We're all going to go home, God willing. Okay, so without further ado, Mishnah Tes Elu Nitani L'Kol Kohen. Now at the end of Ches, we mentioned that this challah in hutz laaretz could be given to any Cohen. There's actually a discussion in the Bartan Nura. He brings the opinion of the Rambam is even an Ama'aretz, someone who's not careful about Tuma and Tahara, but he doesn't like that pshat because the Gemara there seems to be referring to a Kohen who eats his chulin in Tahara in a state of purity versus a Kohen who doesn't eat his chulin in a state of purity. Both of them are not Ama'aretz. They're both Chaverim. A Chaver is someone who's careful in learning Torah, but there's another level of an extra chaver who even eats chulin in Tahara, not only his truma. So in any event, these are other items in Mishnah Tes that can be given to any Kohen, however you define that. Haramim, cherem is a vow. Habakorot is firstborn animals. Pidyon haben is the money we give to redeem a firstborn son of a human being. Ufidyon peter chamor, and also the redemption of a firstborn donkey. You recall we trade that kedusha of the firstborn donkey onto a sheep. This is only when a Jew owns the donkey. We did one of these in Baltimore about 8 or 9 years ago, I want to say. Hazroa, halechayayim v'hakeva. This is the front leg, the jaw part, and the keva is the fourth stomach of kosher animals. That's the parts of all the animals given to the Kohen. Lechayayim is pronounced ayim. Now, if you give them a lechayim, the Kohanim also appreciate that, but the lechayayim is the part of the body we're talking about. Reshit hagez is the first of the shearing of the sheep, the first fleece. V'shemen sreifa, oil that becomes tameh and must be burnt. Now, if it's tameh, you can't eat it, but the Kohanim are allowed to use it as fuel and burn it, as we mentioned in Masechet Trumot. Kodshe hamikdash, and holy offerings of the temple. Now, you might say, according to the Rambam, who says even a Kohen Ama'aretz can be given these items, how could that be? You give an Ama'aretz Kodshim, you give him part of the Karbanot. Well, the answer is when a Kohen goes to the temple to do the service and get parts of the offerings, even if he's an Ama'aretz, he would certainly become tahor before going to the temple. And as we learned at the end of Masechet Chagiga in the Gemara, that during the time of Regel, when people are going to Yerushalayim, then everyone would go ahead and get tahor. Bikurim, these are the first fruits, which we've mentioned earlier, of the 7 species of Eretz Yisrael. The first of the fruits, they tie a ribbon around it and then bring it in a special basket to the temple, give it to the Kohen for his lunch. Rabbi Yehuda Oser b'Bikurim. Rabbi Yehuda says you can't give just anybody Bikurim. Because Lamaisa, even though you bring it to the temple, it's not a korban. By korbanos, as we mentioned, even Ama'aretz would be careful to become tahor. They're very stringent, so they'd be very careful. But Bikurim, even though it's brought to the temple, it's not a korban Lamaisa, so it's more like Truma and Chalas. Rabbi Yehuda says you can't give it to just anybody. Karshine Truma, that's vetch of Truma. Now, vetch, this Karshine we've mentioned before in Trumot, Maestro, it's really an animal food, but if there's nothing else to eat, then human beings are also going to eat it, similarly to the dog food challah we mentioned a couple prakim ago. Rabbi Akiva matir chachamim osher. Rabbi Akiva says you could give it to anybody, because lamaisa it's typically animal food. The chachamim say no, because human beings sometimes eat it. You can't give it to just anybody. Great. Mishnah Yud, Nitai ish Tekoa. Nitai from Tekoa. Hevi chalot mi Beitar. He brought challah from Beitar. This is not Beitar of Jabotinsky. This is not the Beitar elite, which is a city in modern Israel. This is somewhere outside of Eretz Yisrael. So this Jew, Nitai, schlepped his challah from Tekoa. He lives in Tekoa, but he was in Beitar. Apparently he was visiting Beitar, and he brought the challah from Beitar back to Tekoa, or back to Eretz Yisrael, but they didn't accept it. The Kohanim didn't take it. The reason being, once it's in chutz laaretz, there's a rabbinical tumah, because as we mentioned yesterday, the non-Jews bury their dead all over the place. If someone's not rich and famous, they don't get a pyramid or a special crypt, so they get the side of the road. So you don't know where the tumah is. So rabbinically, there's tumah everywhere in hutz laaretz. Anshe Alexandria. This is Alexandria in Mitzrayim, which had a very large Jewish community. There was a famous gigantic shul there, so large they had to wave flags when they were saying Kaddish and Amen, so they know when to say Amen. Haviu chalotehen Alexandria. They schlepped their challah from Alexandria to Eretz Yisrael. Lo kiblu mehem. And again, there's an issue of tumah. They didn't take it. There's a similar story in the Mishnah. Anshe Har Tzivoim. The residents of Har Tzivoim, Haviu bikurehem. They brought bikurim, their first fruits, Kodem Atzeres, but they brought it before Shavuos. V'lo kiblu mehem. And the Kohanim in the temple didn't accept them. Mipnei shekatuv b'Torah, because the Torah says, v'hag hakatzir, that the festival of the harvesting, Shavuot time, bikorei ma'asecha asher tizra b'sadeh. Then you bring the first fruits that you plant in the field. So this is referring to the carbon of shtei halechem, a carbon brought from wheat that we bring a special 2-loaf mincha from wheat on Shavuot. And that too is called by the Torah a bikurim. So that since that's really the first, we shouldn't bring bikurim before Shavuot, according to the mashmaus of the pasuk, the way they were dorish this pasuk. So they didn't accept the bikurim. They said, "Hey, gotta wait until after Shavuot. We bring the shtei lechem and then bring the bikurim." Shkoyach rabotai, Chag Sameach, good yantiv.